So I was thinking about this because we were talking earlier in the show about Michael Penix Jr. telling Michael Vick that the success, the mark for success for the Atlanta Falcons this year is to go to the playoffs. And then you look at that division, you go, well, they've probably been to the playoffs pretty recently. No, absolutely not. It's been 2017 since the Falcons have been to the postseason. And I was thinking about this with the season coming up. I have no idea who I think is going to win the NFC. Because you could go chalk and you could just say Philly, which would be a safe bet. But if I don't want to go chalk, who else is there? Like, I almost was talking myself into the Cowboys again. And I thought, no, that's not going to happen. Like, it's the Cowboys. There's no way that's going to happen. But you start looking around the NFC and you go, all right, so who are the real contenders? And you would think, well, Detroit, maybe they could take a next step.
Question marks.
Lost both their coordinators.
That's a major question mark.
And no team in NFL history has lost both coordinators and gone to the Super Bowl the next year. You start looking Minnesota, question mark with J.J. McCarthy.
Yep.
The Packers.
Not. I mean, you can have positive feedback on that. You can feel good that they'll be competitive this year. They'll be in the mix.
I mean, you would think. And then you start looking around, you go, the Niners, but it's like, well, if we believe the Niners window closed last year and now they're having to pay Brock Purdy, which they weren't having to do before, is this a bounce back, even though they've got a really favorable schedule? And I'm looking around going,
question marks.
Maybe it's the Rams. Like
that would be one to go with. If
you're not going to go chalk with Philly, maybe the Rams are the team that you look at and go, Super Bowl pedigree, come back. They've drafted well. Devontae Adams is there. They've added pieces. Maybe the Rams are a team you look at and go, all right, that's the team that's going to be representing the NFC. If not chalk, if you don't want to go boring and go Philly, I'm struggling to find who I buy into in the NFC this year.
I think the NFC East, I'm going to continue to say it, the NFC East is going to be crazy this year. You're going to have potentially 4 really good teams, four competitive teams. I think the New York Giants are going to take a definitive step forward. They're going to be better. I think Dallas is going to take a definitive step forward. They're going to be better. I think the Eagles will continue to be the Eagles. I look at this Washington Commanders team, and I think that they should be viewed as the 1A or 1B to the Eagles being the 1A. And that's because I saw a team continue to improve. If you think about it, the only real drop-off you saw in play with the Commanders last year is when he sustained the rib injuries, when Jaden Daniels sustained the rib injury.
Yeah.
That was when things got a little weird. So as long as Jaden Daniels is healthy, his understanding of the game is so far ahead right now. His learning curve was so small, and he closed it down very quickly as a rookie. I think it would be a safe bet to think that he's going to even be head and shoulders better than what he was his rookie season. And listen, I look at the Commanders, I think that the NFC East, because for some strange reason, I think he's got magic in him maybe one more time. And I'm really putting the pressure on the defense to be what they need to be, and them being able to get things done offensively with Russell Wilson. If that doesn't work out, then you can put a fork in the New York Giants and thinking they're a dark horse. But there's another team, and they're on the television right now. There's another team out there that you got to say there's a possibility that they can improve to a level where they're competitive. Now, again, I think Detroit is vulnerable in the North because they don't have their coordinators. We'll have to see if they're still the same team without that. You lose the successful offensive coordinator to that dark horse team in the same division, which is Ben Johnson to the Chicago Bears. People have been been hard on Caleb Williams about his fingernail paint and not liking girls, but like being focused on football. But in reality, he's been a leader. He's been a stand-up guy. He's delivered stats. I mean,
can you add a little bit more context to that story? Because I did see that as well too.
Why?
So what?
I'm not going to.
So that was a report that apparently he would not go out with girls because he was too focused on football or something along those lines.
I mean, and so what? Good for him. People be shaming these cats. Like, that man was focused on his career. You want to make it into a thing. Jayden Daniels is always with his mom. They want to make it into a thing. You're talking about two of the more successful players, stable. Like, you don't hear about them having crash outs. You don't hear nothing about either one of them other than fingernail polish and not being interested in girls because of his career. Like, so what? Good for them. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Because of that focus that he has on being a really, really good football player, there's the strong possibility that the Chicago Bears could be a team to contend with this year. A couple things go the right way last year. They probably have a better year. People feel a lot better about them. But I think that this could be a year, especially with Ben Johnson, and hearing the things that Caleb had to say about being a rookie and some of the things that he had to deal with, and there not being a real structure or real approach to what his learning curve was going to be. It sounded like he was having to figure that stuff out on his own. And if he figured it out on his own to the capacity and the degree that he did last season, that's pretty commendable.
The problem is it's the Bears. And the Bears, much like the Jets and some of these other bottom feeders and dysfunctional organizations in the NFL, that they're the type of person that they would win the lottery and accidentally wipe their ass with the ticket.
Dang.
The Bears.
Like, it's just,
dang.
You've heard it so many times.
See that right there, that little stain right there? That's a one under there.
You've seen it so many times.
Ew.
Drafted so many players, but that goes to the overall point of the NFC feels wide open.
Give me your top
of
three. 1, 2, 3. Give me your 1, 2, and 3.
If I had to right now,
1, 2, 3 right now.
The three teams in the NFC I trust the most.
1, 2, 3 in order.
Philly.
Yep.
The Rams.
Okay. You got to do it. Go ahead. I'm going to flip-flop them, but go ahead.
I'll take Philly, the Rams.
Your heart wants you to say Chicago.
No.
But you shouldn't be fighting Chicago. Like,
no,
they could be a factor, but they're not going to be a top 3 team.
I'll tell you, I'm torn between Detroit and San Francisco.
Ooh.
Like, I'm torn, because look, the talent is still there for the Lions, but I can't help but wonder. Look, you lost an NFC title game you probably should have won, and then last year in the playoffs, they were annihilated by Washington. I mean, that game really wasn't close, and
they could have won it. They were in position to win it at one point in time.
I think that game was over by halftime.
Dang.
They looked shook, but San Francisco's got that favorable schedule, and they've got a lot of talent. So I feel Philly, the Rams, and then it's either Detroit or San Francisco.
Knox locks.
Dang. Came with it.
Who's your top 3?
Well, undoubtedly, Philadelphia is number 1 until they are not number 1. You got to put the Commanders second because, to me, the Commanders had a really, really strong year. Like I said, the only slow up they had was when Jayden Daniels got that injury. I think they'll be a better team this year than what they were last year. I thought that they had a solid offseason. And then my third team is clearly, I believe it's the Rams.
Sticks picks.
And so with that being said, I mean, you got 2 NFC East teams that I would say are going to be 1 and 2. And then, again, the showing that the Rams had, I'm just going off of what I saw last. What have you done for me lately? That was a team that could have beat the Eagles. The Commanders seemingly could have beat the Eagles, but it didn't seem as though they looked as good against the Eagles as the Rams did. And that could change this year. I think that maybe you had a first-year head coach. You had a lot of things up in the air in Washington. I just think that there's going to be more stability. There's going to be more familiarity. There's going to be more continuity. And they get an opportunity to show that it wasn't a one-year situation, that this is a team that actually can be good in the foreseeable future. I think that that's where the Commanders are because, again, I think everybody involved in the organization understands what's at stake because of everything that's taking place there. And then you look at that Rams team, they flew under the radar. They have this young core group of guys on the defense. They're going to get better. So you will see them being very competitive. The NFC West is not, to me, I don't think that the San Francisco 49ers are going to be this crazy world-beating team. I do think that their window has closed. And if it has closed and they're not as good as they're supposed to be, I would say the biggest threat in the West to this LA Rams team would be the Arizona Cardinals. They're a dark horse team that could give teams problems if you're not paying attention.